Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes with Jan. This morning, it looks like we have a bit of a slow internet problem all over the island, but we're switching over to Napier this morning. So, good morning, Talitha.
Morning, Jan.
How are you?
I'm well, and yourself?
Good. Talitha is also a fellow South African that has settled down in beautiful Napier. And they had, I would say, I can't say a nasty experience, but they had an experience that we don't actually want. Stuff happens. So, Talitha, you guys took out travel insurance, and if I'm right, that came from our offices.
Yep.
When was this?
So, my parents and aunt decided they're going to come and visit us at the end of the year, closer to November. So, obviously, they reached out to Dalian, and she provided them with a quote.
Okay.
So, bearing in mind, our parents are over the 70-year mark, and that can be challenging when you do have, pre-existing conditions as well. But fortunately, we found the right financial advisor that could help us, and took the quote and AFID away. They had cover for themselves for the visit, for their 6-month visit actually.
And they are still here.
Yep, they are still here.
Mariska asked if she can join this morning.
I'm never going to say no for her.
I'm a little late.
A little late, that's always.
But I'm here.
They say good things take time.
Oh, that's just another excuse for being late. So listen, close the window next to the other one. The other one. There you go.
There you go.
All right, myself and Talitha, we're just chatting about her mum and your mother and your father, hey?
Yeah.
And the aunt that arrived here, and then after arrival, were they settled with you guys, or did they do a bit of touring? What happened?
No, so they came to settle with us. We went to collect them in Auckland, drove down to do some sightseeing on the way, arrived here, and settled in quite nicely.
All right. And then somebody became sick.
Yes. So throughout the holiday, in fact, the first 2 weeks when they had arrived, aunt was coughing. And we have thought at that stage, it's probably the temperature in the air, in the airline, and her settling here with our climate. We let her test every day for COVID because we thought it could be that. It wasn't COVID, and we just couldn't, we didn't know what was wrong. Eventually, 2 weeks later, my sister had arrived, and she brought all the South African medication with her, and eventually the cough subsided, and the holiday went on. So we went here and we went there, and eventually what had happened is she would eat and she would say to us, I feel bloated, and she would boil it down to the festive eating, and I'm eating too much, and we gave her Eno, we gave her boiling water, and eventually one day, I think it was on the 14th of January, she said she didn't have a good night's rest. And I said, look, let's go to the doctor. And off we went to the doctor.
Can I just ask a question here? How old was your aunt?
She was 79.
Wow.
And she did have some pre-existing conditions?
Just diabetes, that's all.
Okay.
Diabetes
Sorry
was
to
there.
interrupt you there.
Yeah, that's fine. And she lived a good life, healthy, always out walking. So okay, anyway, let me go on. So what had happened is we got to the doctor examined her, and she said for a long time she was using citrus soda in hope that, it's going to alleviate some funny feeling at the tummy. And we asked the doctor what would happen in the event that she would have more pain throughout the night.
Mm.
And the doctor said, well, then you just give her another tablet because this medication was quite strong. And we said, okay, so what if the pain doesn't disappear? And she said, well, then you just take another tablet. So that's what we did. Monday had come. I checked in with him during the day, and I asked, so how did Aunt sleep? And Mum had said to me, well, Aunt didn't sleep. And at that stage, I thought, well, if this woman took 3-4 tablets and the pain is still there, it must be severe. we then went to ED, Hastings Hospital, which is quite close by to us. So bearing in mind, Jan, when we went to the doctor, that was an out-of-pocket expense. So we paid, out of our own pocket for that, kept the receipts and stuff. So we went to ED and we took her in there, and they had advised, the first thing that they asked was, do you have travel insurance? Which we did. At that stage, we didn't contact the travel insurance yet because we didn't know how, what the process is. Some hospitals contact the travel insurance themselves. But in this case, they were willing to help her, and then, for us to contact insurance afterwards. So they arrived at the hospital 12 o'clock, and they conducted their bloods, heart monitors, ECGs. I checked in during the day. She was still home at hospital. 4:30 had come, and they sent her back home. They said, you go and rest for an hour, and you come back to hospital so that we can do a CT scan, which they did. The time that I arrived home, Jordan was then at hospital doing the scan with her.
Okay.
7 o'clock had come, they're still not home. Where are they? Something's not right. 8 o'clock had come, Jordan sent me a voice note, and she said, you need to listen to this voice note on your own without my mum and dad, which we then did. And I think I probably took too long for her liking, and she called and she said, well, I need to let you know, Auntie has pancreatic cancer, which had gone to the liver and to the lungs.
Goodness me. Okay.
Yeah, it was something out of this world. Like someone that was so healthy, how does this happen? And then eventually, it made sense to me why she was coughing in the beginning when she came here. That was probably all busy traveling. I'm not a doctor; I can just think these things. But anyway, so she was then diagnosed with metastatic pancreatic cancer. I arrived at the hospital. Doctors had asked her, so. Do you know what your diagnosis is? And she said, yes, I have cancer. And they said to her, unfortunately, we can't operate because it's far gone. No chemotherapy, radiotherapy, none of those things are going to help for you. And she then said, well, I'll have a second opinion when I go back home. And they asked her, when are you going back home? She said, well, I'm going back in May. They said to her, I'm sorry, that's going to be way too late. You have 3 to 6 months to live. Which, hearing those words is something else. It's you receiving a death sentence.
Yeah.
But we got home. She didn't want to stay overnight. Of course, that was the Monday, so we got home. The Tuesday, I stayed home from work, and I interacted then with this is where the travel insurance came in. So I had called and registered the claim. Obviously, they wanted doctor's reports, which they did give us on the Monday night. Sent that through to the travel insurance, and now we've got a claim number, and this case is open in the event anything else happens.
That process, was that an easy process to contact them and to get hold of them?
Yes, got through first time. They were absolutely amazing. They called us every single day to check in how we're doing, not only with Aunt, but with myself that's handling all the admin. So it was about a well-being check-in as well.
Okay.
And they said to us, any issue you have, know that you can reach out to us. And then they asked us, is she going to stay here or would you like to go back to South Africa? And then at that stage, we said, well, let's give her 3 weeks here with us, because the doctor had said to us a month would be too long, but 3 weeks would be okay. Which we then, at that stage, then booked her flights for 3 weeks after. So the Monday had come. The Wednesday, we went back to the hospital, and doctor then gave her diagnosis to her formally, given us paperwork to submit again to travel insurance to let them know this is the state she needs to be in business class so that she can rest. Because at this stage, Mariska and Jan, Auntie was sleeping 80% of the time. And, at this stage, we didn't link anything to, cancer.
No.
It would be 29 degrees. She would be in a room under the blanket sleeping from 8 o'clock till the next afternoon, and when she would eat, the meal would be very, very small. So after when she received the diagnosis, a lot of things started making sense to us. The doctor then, like I said, provided us with their paperwork, and we got approval for business class to fly her home with a flight nurse as well, so that she could have someone, that would be with her.
I didn't even know about that. I mean,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So,
Are you all right?
yep. Yeah. Am I right? So,
Have you got some issues?
and then, so we had then gone to make the arrangements. Flight nurse was in place. I'm just looking at my dates. And then the doctor had also said to us when we visited there, look, if she has any fever, if she's turning yellow, you bring her in immediately. So we said, okay, fine. We looked for those symptoms. Nothing happened at that stage. The next Tuesday had come. Auntie's eyes looked a bit yellow. We took her back into hospital, which was probably a blessing in disguise. Found that her oxygen levels were low, blood pressure was high, the glucose levels was extremely high. She had an infection. I asked them to keep her overnight. I went through 4 doctors that evening, explaining the same thing over and over. And I begged them to keep her just for observations. They said yes. The last doctor took over from the other doctor and ended up sending her home.
What?
Okay.
Yep. So then that was the Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, I checked in with them. How was she doing? Mum had then phoned me. Our timing was so in sync, and this is the scary part of this process. Everything was in sync with us. So Mum had called and said, it looks like Aunt had a stroke and she can't move, she can't talk. At that stage, I asked them to call the ambulance, which was, they were quite efficient. By the time Jordan had put the phone down, they were on our doorstep.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they did the pre-assessments here, got her into the ambulance, took her into hospital. By the time that she got to hospital, the doors were standing open, nurses were ready, they did all the vitals, and they said, we need to do another scan. The scan then had showed them that she had a few silent strokes before, 2 that they could still see that was there, and this one had landed on the wrong artery and then caused the stroke. We got online with the doctor, the head of I think it's Christchurch region, and she then, said, well, she needs to go to Wellington and have a clot retrieval done. In this time, nobody's asking for travel insurance. Nobody's asking for any cover. They just want to see to her. So they got her into a helicopter. They airlifted her to Wellington, and she got there. They did the clot retrieval, which was successful. Flew back the Thursday evening, and it was amazing to see what the benefit of it. She was speaking, her arms was there. She could tell us she was in a helicopter and she had to go alone. And why didn't I go with her? And I said, no, but you know what? You wanted to do this on your own. You wanted to be a celebrity in a helicopter. So we left it for you. Yeah. And in between all of this, of course, we communicating with the kids via WhatsApp calls, because none of them can come at that stage. It's all new to everyone, so there's a little bit of anxiety. The stress levels are high. There's emotion, and obviously calls from the family asking daily, how are we? In the interim, we have the travel insurance that's also calling. How are you doing? How's she doing? How's things? Has anything changed? And it was so nice having a consultant working with us that had been through the same experience with her grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And she said to me, they found out too late, and it came to the point where 3 weeks after that, grandma had died. So she could relate to me, and that made the process a little bit more comforting for me as well.
Did the travel insurance at any stage try to get out of this?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I wish I could explain it. I can just speak highly of them and about them.
Yeah. And the fact that they called you daily, I mean, that just shows dedication from their side and keeping the flow of documents open or whatever they needed from their side to settle the bills. I mean,
absolutely,
much easier to do it on a daily basis than to a month or 2 months later start to get everything together. Yeah.
And what was comforting also is, although there was consultants that had changed shifts, they would relay the message to the next person, and the next person would also contact me. So you could see there was transparency and open communication, which is very important to me. So yeah. Yes. So we then had flights booked for Aunt for the 5th of Feb. Was it the 5th of Feb? So she was going to go to South Africa, and she would have been medically repatriated. They said to us it would be a hospital-to-hospital repatriation. So they would cover all those costs, meaning if she needed an ambulance from the airport to the hospital, they would cover that. So the burden was really taken off from us in that sense. So the Saturday we called the kids and we said, well, this is what's happening on Monday. You won't be able to sit with mum, or wait for her at the terminal in Cape Town, because she would go straight to hospital. And everybody was excited. And lo and behold, we got to hospital that Saturday, and the nurse had said to us, oh, you can't go into the room. We need to have a chat first. And I thought, okay, maybe this is about Monday, talking about what would happen and the process. So I was a bit excited about that. And then we got to the room and she said, well, your aunt had another stroke. They did another CT scan and they discovered that the initial clot retrieval where the first stroke had happened started bleeding again. There was another clot on the brain, and then there was further bleeding on the brain. So, with all that excitement happening, we didn't know what caused it. And, we're not doctors, and we kind of thought, is it because she's going back home? She was overexcited about it, and that's what triggered it. But anyway, everything happens like it should. So that Saturday, the flight nurse ended up being at hospital. She came all the way from Australia. And because the flights were covered already, she said, I might as well come and check up on the patient. And she said to me, your aunt is doing quite well. We'd still be able to take her out, although it is risky. There's a lot of things. So we thought at that stage, there's still a possibility.
So travel insurance paid for a nurse to come from Australia. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, and to travel with aunt in business class. So you can imagine the fees that's involved with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So the travel nurse checked in with her, and they had then decided, well, it's not safe for her to fly at all. So there was no chance of her even going back at that stage. While this was all happening, there was occupational therapists, there was physiotherapists, there was all the surgeons and specialists that was taking care of her. Everybody knew her in that ward by that time. So you can imagine, with all those people coming on board, there's extra cost, of course. Unfortunately, things started deteriorating. The doctors had then said to me, I think now's the best time to get the kids come over. And we then had a discussion. 2 of our kids had come over. The eldest son had stayed behind. They landed the Sunday. They spent the entire Sunday evening, the Monday, with their mum. Fortunately, another cousin was on her way to come and visit. So she had the privilege of farewelling aunt as well. And in that, that was the Sunday, Monday. The Wednesday morning, we got a call to say that aunt had passed on. The signs were there, everything was there, but it's still a shock to the system that someone that was with us a month ago, healthy, is now gone. It was insane. But through this process, the support was amazing. We had the Cancer Association also reach out to us, asking us if we needed any support. The hospitals were amazing. So I can't complain about the healthcare system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The problem with travel insurance is normally you take out travel insurance, you go overseas, nothing happens, you come back, and you always wonder, what if I haven't taken it?
Yeah. Is it really necessary?
It's really necessary, because I promise you, I go nowhere without travel insurance. Let's be quite frank. So that's why when we got the chance to sell travel insurance, we really got into it, because I know what travel insurance can do for me. So,
Talitha, so how did the payment work? Did they pay the service providers themselves, or did you have to pay something in advance, or how does it work?
They paid every service provider themselves. The only payment we paid was the very first doctor's visit. That was the only payment we paid, and they reimbursed us for that as well. So there wasn't a cent that had come from us.
And to make the booking back to South Africa with the flight there and stuff, did you have to make that booking, or who helped you with that?
They did all the bookings. They ask you whether you do have a flight going back, and then they ask you for that reference number. So they try and see if there's any way that they could utilize your old ticket.
Okay.
And in that case, because it was a group booking and it was booked through another agent, they couldn't really do anything with that ticket, so they left that. Everything was booked from scratch.
Yeah.
So that basically they lost out on the old ticket as well.
Yeah. Not quite, because we managed to talk with Qatar and they reimbursed us for that. So everything worked out perfectly.
Yeah. And you guys had to pay nothing upfront. There was no inclination that they ever thought they are going to ask you guys money or anything.
No, not a cent.
Please tell Mariska how much did it cost at the end of the day?
How much did it cost?
It came to 79,733 cents in dollars.
Oh.
That's nearly 1 million rand in South African. And I believe they paid about less than $1,000 for that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And No, you can say.
What I wanted to say is she took out the basic cover, which was the essential. It was the essential cover, so you get comprehensive as well. And I would suggest to people not to compromise with anything, because that does limit you in the sense of repatriation with the body when there's a funeral.
I was going to ask about that.
Yes, so I would go for comprehensive cover. They are willing to do everything for you when you are covered with comprehensively. So on the Wednesday, when she had passed on, what they did is when I knew the Saturday things weren't looking good, I reached out to a funeral home, and they gave me different costs, what it would cost for having a service on premises, without the service, live streaming, without live streaming. And we basically took out the basic cover, which came to $5,100 and almost $5,200, and that was just the cremation. So that means that the funeral home goes and collects the body, washes it, and then cremates it. And then we paid about $200 to put it in an urn. They gave us all the paperwork for customs going back home. And again, travel insurance covered that. We didn't give a cent to the funeral home.
They covered even the cremation and everything.
Everything.
Goodness me. Okay.
So but if you wanted the body to be repatriated back to South Africa, that they wouldn't cover.
Yes, they would cover. There's a basic cover for essential for $10,000.
Okay.
For 300,000. Or for how much?
I think it came to about 25,000 was the repatriation back to South Africa. Okay. So if you're on essential cover, they only cover 10,000 of that.
Okay.
All right. I actually got a quote the other day just for a client of mine that wants his body shipped back, and that quote came down to $15,000.
Yeah.
And that was just for the basic airfare thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
So, geez.
Yeah. The family members, the children that came over, how did they get a visa so quick?
So you have to go through the normal process of applying for a visa, and what you do is you got to attach all the medical reports, and then you follow up with Immigration New Zealand, and they then issue it within hours if they can.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That actually happened over a weekend, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, because that is exactly what had happened in their case.
So everything just worked. The time was just perfect, eh?
Yep.
So that's once again when I say my condolences to the passing of the aunt and so forth.
And just for everything, I was just thinking of you and everything that you are going through, and all the everything's everything's on you, and you
That's
have
why
to
we
sort
have
it out.
strong women.
Yes.
Yeah, you got that right.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's not a good experience, but it was a good experience.
Yeah, yeah.
a
It's
bad
important.
experience turned to good experience.
You know, I'm associated cover with Bright Insurance as well. And man, the run for the money that I had to make with the calls, I had to call to Canada. I would be transferred back to South Africa, and it was back and forth and back and forth. And eventually, when I asked them, because Allianz didn't cover the bags going back to South Africa, so I thought maybe I can take advantage of Bright Insurance. They'd come back and said to me, "Well, your aunt died of metastatic pancreatic cancer, and with that involves some clots. So we don't cover anything to do with that. So sorry, there's no cover for you."
Yeah.
But Alliance came through for you guys, because that's the company you used that paid most. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that is wonderful.
I know a lot of people is asking what travel insurance it was. So it was Alliance.
Yeah.
Guys, we sold it to Talitha, but the thing is, not every insurance is the right insurance for you. So don't go just buy the insurance. Talk to us first. You'll pay the same price at the end of the day. But it's just you need different insurances for different countries. And we've learned the hard way which ones is the best way. So
I think this just shows again, because I think when you don't have lots of money, this is the first thing that you'll let go. You'll just say, no, okay, I'm coming, but I don't want any travel insurance.
Especially older people, because it's expensive. Let's face it, it is very expensive. But I mean, if you as a young person in New Zealand has got to take out $80,000 out of your pocket,
it's a lot of money.
It's a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah. No, so
So I know very few people who's got that amount of money lying around. So
but that's the thing with insurance. It's the first thing to go out of the window when you're hard on money. Isn't it true?
So, Talitha, are you going to bear with us, because we need to draw somebody to go with us on a boat trip this morning?
Yes, and on that note, Jan, I hope that you actually do draw my name.
Yes. It would be fair. It would just be fair.
Just to give you a bit of a break. So, all right.
It is needed, yes.
So what we've been doing is we want 2 applicants for a final draw at the end of the year. So we've been drawing applicants from time to time on the show, just to get enough people out there to be able to go or to go into the final draw. So we've got a random number generator here. And when is that prize? When is the boat cruise going to happen?
May 2025.
May 2025. So that's next year. Let's generate a number 147. Let's see what number 147 says. Petrus de Toy. All right. So Petrus de Toy is one of the guys that's going to go with us. And let's do another one. I can't tell you what your number is, but it is in here somewhere. Number 135. What is the chance that it would be? No. It's Yvette Fourie. All right.
Oh, next time, Talitha.
Next time, Talitha.
Next week, yes. Next week, I'll put it out there.
And to those guys who haven't yet entered your names, guys, you need to enter your name into the draw. Otherwise, we can't draw it. We're not going to randomly just draw some of our clients, and perhaps you have a fear of boats, and then you blame us for whatever goes wrong down there. So, all right. Talitha, thank you very much. We will be seeing you this weekend as well. So, yeah, I'm just going to pop you out, but just stay there. We're going to pop you in afterwards and then quickly have a chat with you. Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks. Guys, that was Talitha Dias from Napier. She's part of the Ladies' Morning, the Labyrinth for Lemonade morning.
Labyrinth for Lemonade.
Yeah, and then we're having a massive braai in Napier, and they say it's going to be a bit wet.
Yeah.
But we've got a shed. We're going to do the braai in the shed if it's too wet. I'm just worried a bit about the kids' entertainment, because we are planning to get a jumping castle.
You can put the jumping castle in the shed.
Why should I just buy a swimming pool? All right. For those who will be seeing this weekend, until then, and for the rest, we'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Bye.
See you. Bye.